Okay, welcome to Bitrix24 Live. I'm Damien Edwards, Commercial Manager of Bitrix24 Partners Interface. With me I have our Support Manager, Andy Naylor.
Hi guys, so we're here for the next hour to answer any questions that you may have on Bitrix. And we can take your questions whether they are for the cloud version of Bitrix or the on-premise version. And we can show you on the screen, so please do put your questions in the box next to the video on YouTube. And if you do have any questions throughout the week, please do send them to either sales@intraface.com or live@intraface.com, and we can answer any questions at the start of each session that we get through.
Okay, so we're partners of Bitrix24, Gold Partners. We are located in the UK, we have offices in the US and UAE, and we're able to provide full pre-sale support, so a demo and discussion about your particular requirements. We have a full implementation service including customization and training, and we're able to provide an ongoing support package, so that includes telephone support with a dedicated support contact in our office. So if you've got any questions, or if you want to contact us afterwards, there are contact details there on the screen there. Get in touch with us if you want a demo or have any questions about how Bitrix can help your business. So we had some questions through. I think earlier we had a question about creating leads, so we can start with this one. When a lead is created, we would like it to auto-assign to a specific territory. So the user selects a territory. The user selects a city in their inquiry form, and this automatically assigns the lead to the manager of that territory. So I think we can create a form that would allow the user to select from a drop-down list which city or location or territory they're inquiring from, and then I think we can create a business process that then assigns to different people based on those different territories.
Yeah.
Standard functionality, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. So what we'll first of all do is we'll go into the CRM, and then we'll create our field first of all. So click into settings and click into form and report settings and click on custom fields, and we're going to add a location field. So we'll just call it location, and we'll have it as a list. So we'll click on list here, and then we'll just give it two options. So we'll say West Coast and East Coast. So just to point out, so we've called it location, it's a field type of list, and we've given the list two values, West Coast and East Coast. So we click on save, and then the next thing that we want to do is actually create the process which assigns the responsible person based on what the location has been selected in our form. The last thing we'll do is create the form. So click it back into settings in the CRM, click into automation, click on business processes, and we'll just click in to see if any are running at the moment. So we'll just stop that one, and we'll add a new template. So we'll call it location picker. And what we're going to do is we're going to auto run this when the lead is added. So when the contact form is submitted with the location value in it, it's essentially going to look at this business process and do whatever is inside it. And what we're going to do is have a construction with a condition in, and this condition is going to look at that location field. So we'll say if element field equals location, and if it's the West Coast, so we can say so we'll say West Coast, and then if it's the East Coast, we'll do it on this branch. So again, scroll to the bottom to find our location, and we'll say East Coast. And then, so what we need to do, so we need to put an editable, we need to modify the field. So we go into document processing, modify element, click into here, and what we want to do is click responsible person, and then we can select the user who we want to. So we'll just put, who should we put? We'll put Mike Black. We can put West, just label it West equals Mike. And then if it's the East Coast, we can do East equals, maybe, I think we've got to use called Lucy on here. Responsible, and then we'll have Lucy. So this points out that when the lead is created, it'll check what the field location equals, and based on what it equals, it will update the responsible. So click on save.
Would they get a notification if they're newly responsible? They probably would, wouldn't they? But you can add one, can't you? They get one anyway, I think, don't they?
Yeah, I mean you can add one in that process. You can pretty much do anything. You can email them as well.
Yeah.
You can use many of the action blocks to notify them. And then finally, what we want to do is create the form. So the question was that came in, they have a web form that somebody fills in, and based on what the location that they choose in that web form will then update the responsible. So we click on add new form, and we'll just put inquiry, and we can put whatever we want. So we can say service inquiry, and then in this lead, what we can do is we can have name. We don't want the second name. Let's remove that one. We want the last name. But most importantly, we want the custom field that we've just created. Obviously, you can pull in any of the lead fields that you have in here. So we'll put email address as well. You don't have to, you can also rename these fields if you wanted to. So name, instead of having name, we'll have first name. Click on close. And you can make them required. So if we move down, the initial person is going to be John Smith, but our process is going to update that, and then we're going to create a lead, and then we'll just allow duplicates in this case. So if we click on save, we first need to enable that, so we click on enable, and then if we wanted to embed this on our website, click on embed, and we can embed it here in a number of different options. But what we're going to do is we are going to just fill it out on a public form. So we'll say James Turner, and then we can put, and then what we want to do is select West. So I think we said West is going to be Mike. So we click on send. It's been successfully submitted, and then you can see here it's been successfully submitted. If we click into here, you can see complete CRM form inquiry, and you can see Mike Black is the responsible person. So if we were to come back here and just test it the other way and put jam, I mean, we don't really need to rename these because we've got allowing duplicates. But if we chose East Coast, click on send, that should then create a new lead. If you give it a refresh again, you can see there the responsible person is Lucy. So that's just one example of how you can do it on a location specific to feed the leads into the correct responsible people. But
Yeah.
you can do that in any field, can't you? It doesn't have to be location.
And a result being that the person who's responsible for that territory, the salesperson who gets paid commission on generating sales in that territory, they get the leads instantly, and so they're going to be keen to follow that up and make the sales. So it's there's no one emailing these on to salespeople; they're getting it automatically inside the system. I think we did something similar for a customer that wanted also some other criteria on these inquiry forms, like they selected things like language preference and things like that, and we were able to assign leads to different people in the office that spoke specific languages that the customer had inquired for. We also did things like we were able to assign based on when people were, what sort of working hours they did as well. So if this business we worked with worked kind of 7 days a week generating leads, so some people worked weekends, some didn't, and so you could look at their working hours in their profile and auto assign. So it's not assigned to somebody on a Saturday morning that doesn't start work until Monday morning. It used that sort of intelligence. Did some other things as well. I think quite a few different things. With that particular customer, we also automatically reassign these leads on to somebody else in the team if they didn't do sort of act on it within 24 hours. So what they were looking for was some call activity or some notes, any event that was added to it, and that allowed, that in that case the lead stayed with that salesperson. But if they didn't create any activity, it was auto assigned onto the next person. So I think that was, I think it's worth building in those sort of tools so that you make sure these leads get acted on by the individual salespeople. We could do that in automation as well, I think, couldn't we? Probably. Probably could we do all of that in automation?
I think you could, yeah. So if you did the automation and click on add, all you would need to do is, you could change responsible person based on the condition. So if you clicked on back into location equals West Coast, new responsible person would be Mike Black. Yeah. So that's the other way of doing it.
So really in this case there's nothing between it. You could use either, couldn't you? They both have the same sort of functionality.
Yeah, I suppose it depends if your leads are going to be coming in at different stages, maybe. So on the one we created first, it's only going to create every time a new lead gets created. If you had a lead for some reason get created and it moved to a new status, then maybe.
Yeah. Can you modify something in this?
Yeah.
Can we modify a field? So could we, in this case, tick a box that says, in progress, so that if it gets moved back to new lead, it uses a condition to check that. That's something you can modify fields.
Yeah. Edit document. You would need to go into choose the field that you want to modify, and we could just update it to West Coast.
Yeah.
And you could do that on any step. So it's the edit document.
Yeah, so you've got, so there's two tools, unless you've seen it before. There's two interfaces essentially. This one we call automation, which is based on stages. So if we can get the other one up, we've got the other one up still. Let's just open this in another tab. Where are we? We do that. So let's open up this automation. Just quickly show you what the difference is between the two. So if we go to the CRM and settings and automation, business processes, and then into that lead template we created. What was it called?
Location picker.
Location picker. So we have this interface that Andy's just created this on. This uses action blocks which you can drag in from the right hand side. We're able to use this condition here to go down these different branches. That's, I think, that this probably has additional functionality that the automation doesn't have, but I think essentially they have very much the same. You can run these processes based on something changing in the lead record. So you could run it, if you go into the template parameters, you can choose on these two options. So when a new lead is added, or you could select when changed. So that would mean when anyone changes any fields in the lead, it would trigger this process again. So it's that field, that option there really, when changed, that might be useful for you. In addition, you could unselect both of these and then just have this as a process that you actually run manually when required. So that is a difference, I guess. This one, you've got the rules the same here. They're triggered based on the stages being activated. So that would be a user activating those stages manually. Or with this one we have triggers, so you don't really have this, although you can build them in using conditions and things. But we have these triggers that can automatically change the stage of a lead, and as such then action these rules below. So things like if you're sending out emails with links as part of your sales process, if someone clicks on that, then that can automatically update the lead. Someone calls you from a telephone number that matches the number you have in the lead, you can use that as a trigger to change the stage. So various other things, including webhooks. Where's webhooks? Oh, there we go. Including webhooks. So we can you can do integration with other systems using webhooks. So that would be should you update something in a finance or other package, that could trigger the status of this lead inside Bitrix as well. So quite a relatively straightforward, simple way of doing some integration with another system.
I think just going back to the original question with changing the value, the responsible person. It's good to know that in your lead section here that you can set permissions, so only the sales rep, so Lucy in this case, would be able to just see her own leads. Without having to filter, you can just set the permissions to do so. So it is a question that comes up very often. Just go into permissions, click into access permissions, and we can set a sales role, for example, here. And we can set it so that the leads are just personal. So you can view your own leads, edit your own leads, and delete your own leads here. So it's quite good to have that, because you obviously don't want other sales reps poaching other sales reps' leads. And so just set it to personal, click on apply, and then you can just, for your group employees maybe, just apply it, the role sales there. So it's just good to know, I think, that's on there.
Yeah. Just put our contact details up there. So we're not Bitrix24, we're gold partners of Bitrix24. We run webinars and these live sessions for them. So if you want to get in touch with us about any sales inquiries, you might be new to Bitrix and want to know about licensing and other details, or you might be an existing user and want some additional support or training or customization, get in touch with us about those on any of those details on the screen. Got a question: How could I duplicate an existing workflow to use it as a starting point? You can. I think you have to download it, wouldn't you? Or
yeah.
Can you duplicate?
Yeah, you would have to download it and then enter it. So it depends where you want to do it initially. So if you want to do it in the place where we were originally, automation, business processes, click into your templates that you want to duplicate, location picker, click on export, and that will export your business process file, and then you just create another one, click on import, and I would change the template parameters.
So you have to create a new business process, don't you, first? So you'd have to come out of this.
Yeah, you would have to go back into
and then go
templates,
and then go create new.
Add new.
And you could
call it whatever you
want. Call it whatever you want, because it overrides that, and then import, yeah.
And then click on import.
And then choose. You wouldn't have to rename it or anything like that, would you? That file, it would.
No. Click into here and rename.
What would it call it? Would it call it the same as the last one?
No, you can rename this anything you want.
Oh, right,
doesn't affect that. So that's how you would do it on a business process. If you do it in automation, it's slightly different. So if you go into automation here, then configure automation rules. You can only export this on a status by status process. So you need to click into Edit in Workflow Designer, click on Export in this. So you're basically exporting the second status, click on Save, and then if we were to wanting that in looking good, you edit in Workflow Designer, and then it re-import that. So that's how you can duplicate what you've already done before in terms of, and then clicking to save, and then that will be the same now in looking good as it is in here. So if you wanted to have a practice, another question that came through in the week, if you ever wanted to practice having this automation in place but not actually triggering, so you just want to build it first and then not have it triggering, just make sure that you have a field in your lead that is consistent throughout. So create a custom field that says maybe new lead, yes, no. And then what you would have in every condition, in every action that you use, you would have a condition that checks that field that says, is this field new, yes or no? And you would set it to yes, and then it would basically not trigger that particular state.
Yeah. Okay, is there a way to change to original workflow that adds a task to a new employee to download the Bitrix mobile app and add a profile picture? So when you first sign a new employee up, then they get a task or a couple of tasks or something, and one says, as you suggest there, download the mobile app and update your profile picture and things like that. There wouldn't be a way of doing that automatically, because you can't run business processes on the standard cloud for new users, but you could do it on the self-hosted. In fact, we do, let's just go into here, we sometimes demo an onboarding process for new users. So not only might you want them to sort of like get the app and update their profile, but you might want to also send them out some documents around their employment contract, and you might want to assign some tasks to other people that are involved in the onboarding process for that person. So we set up a onboarding workflow here. So this, I think, just to be clear, that in order to do some of this functionality, you need a self-hosted version. You could do some basic functionality. You couldn't automatically create those tasks, but you could fill a format like this for the user.
Yeah, I was just about to say, instead of doing it like we've got it here, because this is a user that already exists on the system, what you could do is create a workflow like this, and actually only on the on the on-premise version, you could have first name, last name, email address, and then in that process behind, you hit send, hit create. It would then create the user in the system, and then and you would have all the tasks that you can create for that user, like you were saying there. That's probably the best thing to do.
Yeah. So if you've got self-hosted, if you've got the cloud, then you could do something similar to this, I guess. So once you've set your user up, complete this form, so select the user, give them a job title and things, select the start date. So this job title and start date, this leave entitlement, these are going to populate custom fields in their profile page. You would need the self-hosted to do that part, but some of the other parts, which I'll show you in a second, you wouldn't need. You could do on the cloud as well. So it just trigger that, and I'll just show you in the business process what it does, rather than switching between users, so you can see how it all works. Which is go to workflows, and workflows in there. So this is the process that's triggered after that form's completed, and what it's doing is adding. There were a couple of fields at the bottom that said resume and contract, I think. And what this, if we'd added documents to that, this field, this action block, will add that document to their personal drive space, which will potentially be shared with the HR people as well. It emails out the second document, which was their employment contract, to the new starter. So this is just an example, of what you can do. There was a selection list, a drop down in that form. It selected either a manager or an admin. So you could have different role types, and based on what role type they select, then it could trigger different actions. They look similar, but the content of these can be different, essentially. So we're sending out a welcome system email to them. We've got this approval request, whereby we're asking somebody in their team to be their buddy. and this is a feedback. It's requesting that they can feedback, say that they've approved that and they're on with that task. And then a little bit further down, we're going to assign an induction to somebody. So that's again not a task; it's what's called an assignment. I'll show you in a second what they are. An assignment. Somebody's got that job then to do. Horses for 14 days, and then we book a review. You're going to want to review their performance after a period of time. So you can again book an assignment for somebody to do that. So that can go on and on for as long as it needs to. But essentially, you could add into that. Yes, you want them to download the Bitrix mobile app, where you part of the welcome email, part of the welcome email here. You could link them to the mobile app to ask them to do that. It could be there, or it could be in this welcome system email, system notification. Here's the mobile app, download the mobile app, and then, by the way, update your profile with the contact, with an up-to-date picture and your correct contact information. So you can use any of these action blocks on the right-hand side to add additional functionality to that. If you want to create a meeting, you can do that. They're all in there. And so, but mainly I think it'll be these assignments. These are called assignment blocks. These assignments. And they appear as workflows in the person who's received the assignment will receive them as workflows over here. So just leave that page and you can see what it looks like. So as a manager of a team, you're going to receive a series of these as and when you get new people on, and you can, here we go, book a review meeting. This is one we run from that particular process earlier. Book a review meeting. Please book a review meeting for Lucy Loxley. You can see, in this case it's all the same user, but you can see who it's come from, who it's now sat with myself. And I've got the option in here to go, well, I'm going to delegate it, or I can just go, that's complete, the job, I'm done. And then based on that complete status, if you wanted to, you could feed that back to somebody to say, look, this has been done. So I think, on the cloud, you can't do that. You can do some different things. You can do it manually. I think process that did that sort of functionality manually. Yeah.
So I had a question. How do I use Bitrix24 on a dropshipping business that involves paying suppliers and managing customers' database? So that's quite a wide question, but your focus will tend to be in the CRM. So you manage your customers, and you also manage your suppliers in the CRM companies section and the CRM contact section. And you can raise invoices associated against companies and contacts. With regards to a dropshipping business, I'm not sure how all the ins and outs of what that would involve. I would probably recommend getting in touch with us and talking about, and we probably can have a demonstration.
I think if you're going to generate deals, and those deals are going to have different stages. So you're going to have different stages based on when they're being dispatched and shipped and things. So probably what you want to do if you're drop shipping, you want to know when an order's being dispatched, and you probably want to do some. I don't know what you want to do, but based on when an order's being completed, you could create some automatic actions. I guess you've got to pay your supplier when it's being dispatched, but you'll probably wait till the supplier bills you, so that probably wouldn't be built into the system. But yeah, I don't know whether you actually need any automation as such. You can manage, as Andy says, your full database in there.
I think we'd need to know, wouldn't we, the step-by-step process of how your business works, and then
you say it involves paying suppliers. Well, you wouldn't have supplier invoices in Bitrix, because Bitrix doesn't handle VAT and tax and schedules and things that you get in finance packages. So those invoices you get from suppliers should go in a finance package and not in Bitrix, unless you're just doing a very small number of them. You can find a way of doing it in Bitrix, but you would need a Xero or something like that, very inexpensive finance package which integrates with Bitrix as standard. So there'll be that supplier side will be managed inside Xero, but you could certainly trigger something in Zero from a deal completing in Bitrix. I think so would be the way to do it.
Can I add JavaScript code into a site? Yeah, you certainly can. Just go into the particular page that you want to add the JavaScript code to, and you just need to add a block. So if you just go into add block, click on other, and then you'll be able to put it into the code block here. So that's how you would do that. Probably put it in the footer or the header. Obviously won't be rendered as like it says.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how you would add the code.
How can I read in the Bitrix24 app the comments left on the right desktop, either in a deal or company, so that the timeline of comments can be read, followed when on the road. So you can see comments. Unfortunately, we haven't got an app. You can't see comments on the app.
Yeah.
Right,
so.
Okay. Oh, right. There's events on the right hand side. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So as standard you can't see them. If you have, I don't know if you need the on-premise. I think you do need the on-premise version. We have actually adapted the mobile app for one of our clients to show exactly that. So if you do have the on-premise, do get in touch with us, because we have made that modification to the app before to show the comments and even to add comments too. So depending on what version, if you've got the cloud version, it wouldn't be possible, unfortunately. We can maybe put a request in again.
Yeah, Bitrix has a big team working on the app, so they released quite a lot of updates on it so recently. So I think that's probably one that they'll probably add. I would have thought being able to... You can add a comment though, can't you, I think, on the app? No, you can't. Okay. So adding comments and reading comments probably be...
It's the stream, isn't it? We had exactly the same. Yeah, we had exactly the same query from a customer because they wanted to see exactly like that, the comments on the road, and yeah, it doesn't have it. You mentioned that you're on the cloud version. Yeah, we can't access that, unfortunately, for the cloud. So, like Damien said, Bitrix have got a big team working on the mobile app. I'm sure it will be coming. Like I say, we'll see if we can get a request in for that on the cloud. Is there a tool to test the likelihood of a marketing email to be caught as spam? I don't believe so.
There will be tools on the internet, not in Bitrix. Just find something on the internet that does that. There'll be loads of things that do that, won't there? There's ways that emails are categorised, aren't there, based on different factors, different ways that they use to manage spam. So there'll be definitely tools on the internet that do that.
Yeah, I think you can send. I think there are, like you say, there are tools where you can send your email to them and it will actually score them. Mm-hmm. So I would probably, if you created your campaign and your template, so you put the subject and so on and so forth, send it to one of those tools. Just specify the email address in here, and then you can score it. I think Bitrix does have a very good score, doesn't it? Against when you compare it to the likes of MailChimp and other email marketing providers, it does stand up there with the rest. So if you do have the on-premise version, you are obviously going to be using your own mail server. So again, that's really good in terms of clean marketing emails to be sent from it. So
yeah. Okay, there's our contact details again. So get in touch with us at any time. Keep posting your questions. How would I clone a deal? So that's quite straightforward, I think. Clone a deal. So if we go into CRM deals, there's probably a few different ways you can do it. Can you do it from here? Copy. So if you copy a deal, it's just going to copy everything. I mean, I don't know what it calls it. I think it even calls it the same. You call it copy deal. Okay. It calls it the same. So yeah, it copies everything. Copies all the contact, all the information over. Straightforward. Just delete that. If you're in the deal, then you probably copy it from this button here. Copy. And also, how can I merge a lead? So you can merge leads, but I don't think you can merge deals, can you?
Yeah, I think so.
You can.
Oh no, you can't. You can merge leads, and you can merge companies and contacts. So you go. So that's how you would merge. You would search on the criteria based at the top. You could open them up, and then you would select them and click on merge. And you can do that. A lot of people do this, especially if you're importing a high volume of companies and contacts, and you've got repetitive data in there. It's a good way of cleaning up everything.
Yes, it gives you suggestions then.
Yeah, I think quite a these have got the same email address, haven't they?
So it's based on email address.
Phone number, I think, as well.
Phone number in that case. So you can choose, if you've got multiples, which ones to merge and which ones you actually don't want to merge. So generally not a tool that can do that, probably not wise to do that automatically. Sometimes you need to just run your eye over those.
Can custom fields be shown on Bitrix24 app? I believe some of them can, as standard. So I think whether you're on the cloud or the self-hosted, some of them can be shown. Depending on the type of field that they are, there are some restrictions. And again, if you're on the on-premise, those restrictions become a little bit less because you can customize the app much more to meet your requirements than the cloud version, just because, like I say, we have access to that level of coding on it. But some custom fields do.
What do you know about CRM analytics? It's going to be open or working soon. So too short. I think it was
It's definitely not on. Yeah, they're going to the cloud, won't you?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's there, but it's not live. Not live yet. So I think it's not probably due for another couple of months. So it was on the. I think a couple of months on the month or two on the cloud, and then 2 or 3 months on the self-hosted.
I think they are bringing it slightly in, aren't they? Because I came across, maybe it was, yeah, they're starting to bring some of these areas in. When we watched I can't remember what the latest webinar was on Bitrix, it does give you a timeline when these things are going to be coming in. So it may be good to, do you remember the city name of the?
Dubai,
yeah, that was it. So if you look at on Bitrix24 YouTube channel after, look at for the video called Dubai, and on one of the slides that were shown, it shows you the timeline of when that is. So yeah, Dubai. So best to have a look at that, and it does have a timeline. It will show you the CRM analytics, and they usually are fairly accurate of when this stuff's going to be released. So they do get released on the cloud version before the on-premise. I think the on-premise usually follows around about 8 to 12 weeks after. So when it comes on the cloud, then 8 weeks later it'll be on the.
Okay, can I manage multiple businesses inside Bitrix24? So you can do that in different ways. So we're on a self-hosted edition here. If I just open up this admin bar at the top, which you have on self-hosted, then you can, where do I see my divisions? Oh, we don't have it on here, we don't seem to have it. Okay, so you would see your divisions on an enterprise site, which are, so if you have a self-hosted top package, the enterprise package, then you get a button here that shows divisions, and that allows you to create a division for each company that you have, and in that case you can have different branding, different URLs and things for each business. Then you don't have full separation, so users from one business can see another business, and there's not complete separation in the CRM, in that if you create a custom field, that's going to be visible across all the businesses. So it's not full separation, but you can run multiple businesses on there. I think what a lot of companies do that have more than one either division or separate business is they might have one Bitrix24, and then they'll create work groups for each one. and that allows them to then create tasks for that business and have a calendar and collaborate in activity streams and share documents inside the drive for that particular business. So you could do, it's really, if you're on the scale of the business, really, if it's any sort of size, then you probably want to create a separate instance for each business. You can see the benefits of having one instance in that you've got one area where you can manage all the users and things, but you won't get full functionality really, or you won't get full separation. That's the thing. So some users will be able to find users from other businesses, and if that's a problem, you need a separate instance. But if you're on the cloud, you're going to have to pay for a separate instance. You're going to have to pay for each instance essentially to do that.
Yes, we just had a question about how you can increase the email sending from more than 1,000 to 1,500 a day. So I've just checked that while Damien was talking. So Bitrix have said to increase the data limit, you need to create a campaign with 1,500 emails. 1,000 emails will be sent, and then 500 will be added to the queue. The limit will be increased the next day, and then these 500 will be sent. So it increased to 1,500. So to increase the data limit, you need to exceed the current limit. If that makes sense. So it should have a knock-on effect and then increase the data limit on a daily basis.
Okay, what is the desktop application used for? So unfortunately I don't think we have the desktop application open on this either, we don't use it too much, but there is a Mac and a PC application which you can download for free, and it's a small widget that allows you to do, see notifications and chat with other users using the chat and video call features. And essentially those features are available inside, mostly features that are available you can access inside a browser version that we're looking at the moment. It has one specific feature that you can't do without having the desktop application open, and that is syncing documents to your local machine. So with the desktop app, if you're signed into the desktop app and signed into the browser version, then any documents you put in your drives will automatically sync to your local machine, a folder it creates on your local machine, allows you then to edit those offline, and then it will automatically sync the latest version of that document back to the system when you're back online. You'll see a revision history then, so you'd see if you've got multiple people editing documents locally, when they get synced up you'll see a history of all those, who's modified it and the date they've modified it. Don't know if we've got one in here where we can see a better history, probably not. But no. So you'd see a list in there of all the history. I
think one of the good things as well that's come fairly recently with the desktop application is the ability to have an elastic drive. So an elastic drive is essentially allowing you to connect the desktop application to your local machine. Your local machine, you'll be able to see all the files and folders that are in your My Drive. You'll be able to see all the files and folders that are in your My Drive. However, they won't download to your local machine. So we had quite a lot of issues with people downloading gigs and gigs of data to their local machine. So the elastic drive doesn't do that any longer. What it does instead is, like I say, you'll be able to see a copy of it, and it won't have the physical copy on your local server. Only when you want to work on that will it download. So that's a really good feature of the desktop application.
Mm-hmm. Is there a soft phone built into Bitrix Cloud that can be used with a self-hosted free PBX, or do I need to use a third-party soft phone? The soft phone built into Bitrix, which can be integrated with free PBX. I'm not too sure whether you would need a self-hosted to integrate with PBX, free PBX, but essentially you've got full telephony built into Bitrix, so you can rent a number. Let's have a look. You can rent a number, choose your country, choose the region, and then in this case the charges. Generally you don't get this $11 charge, generally it's about $6 a month. In Hungary there's a connection charge. Let's have a look in Hong Kong, and it's $11. So I think in the UK it's $6, in the US it's $6.
This is quite important, isn't it?
Yeah, so in most regions you don't need to upload verification documents, I don't think. I'll say most, quite a lot in the UK you don't, and in the US you don't have to. Some regions like Hong Kong, Ireland, Germany, I think you have to upload documents. You have to prove that you are either a resident of that country or that you operate a business in that country before you can rent a local telephone number of that country. So Bitrix has functionality to be able to rent a number and then dial out and in from the system, so you can click and call from CRM records to make calls, and you can obviously receive calls. It will know who's ringing you. It'll pop up with the contact record when you get incoming calls into Bitrix. So you can just use it as the built-in features. You can plug in a USB phone into your desktop, and then have a handset that will allow you to make and receive, or just have a headset plugged into your laptops. That's one option. Second option to integrate is to buy the SIP connector from Bitrix. You can test that for 60 minutes for free. It's $50 a month, and that will connect to your PBX system. So that's one option if you want to connect to your existing system. Pay $50 a month for this, and there are a number of pre-built integrations available. So Ring Central is available. Asterisk telephone systems are you can integrate with. Free PBX, we have integration with free PBX, but it's I'm not sure that it's available if you have a Bitrix cloud account, whether you need a self-hosted account. You have to get in touch with us afterwards and we can check that for you. But there's a lot of different options, but I think with free PBX you're probably going to be okay doing that.
So I've got another question. Is there automations with Bitrix Drive? For example, if a file is sent to a shared drive folder, can people be notified about this file has been recently placed? Yes, certainly. So if we go to a company drive, for example, and what we may want to do is let's get notified when somebody adds something into policies. So what we need to do, first of all, click on the gear icon, just click on Configure Business Processes and just make sure that this is checked. So activate business processes here. Then what you can do, you'll then see the business processes in here. Click on that. And then what we can do is probably just create a sequential business process. And then pretty much like where we were at the start of this session in the business process editor tool, when added, so that's every time a document gets uploaded into the drive. So we could say uploaded, call it that, leave when added. What we can then do is send a notification, and you can put whatever you want in here. If you put in the notification text, I think you could have a file name. You can even have a URL to the file itself. So there's quite a lot of things you can do. So we could say has been put, and so on and so forth. I won't write all that. And then you can notify a group of users. You can notify whoever you wish, really. So that's how you would notify everybody of that. And the good thing is, if you have a work group drives, that's exactly the same. That feature is available in there too.
Okay, let's put our details up. Let's have any questions you've got for the last few minutes. Is there a way to lock the background theme for Bitrix of Bitrix24 for all Bitrix24 users? I don't think there is.
You can default it, can't you? You can set the default for everybody when they log in, but they would still have the option to be able to change it. So when you go into here, you're obviously aware that it's got set as default. So that would set the default theme for everybody, but they could still go to their profile and change it. I think it just allows you really to give that personal touch, doesn't it? When I like that one.
So I think if you had a self-hosted, you could remove that feature if you wanted to. You could do quite a lot more self-hosted, things like that. Sometimes they're quite important to businesses that want to do something like that. It's possible in self-hosted.
Yeah, because quite a common one with the self-hosted as well is how do we actually remove everything. Maybe an admin is hiding some of these, so when you click on the configure menu now, and you can see all the hidden. What we've done for some clients is that we've only allowed admins to see the hidden, so the admins can set the full menu and they can see all the hidden, but a normal user would not be able to see anything in the hidden section and just see the items that show to the main. That's quite a common one. You can also create user groups to see specific menu items as well, which we recently did. So.
Yeah. Okay. Don't think we've got any more questions, but if you subscribe to Bitrix24 and interface on YouTube, then you'll receive notifications about the live sessions. And if you go to interface.com/webinars, you can register for webinars which we do once a week on different subjects. But I think that's it. We'll wrap it up. Thanks for joining and see you next time.
Yeah.